Welcome, my dear darklings, to another twisted journey into the night. I am Violet Nocturne, your ethereal guide through the shadows. Tonight's story begins with a single key, a key to a room that was never meant to be opened. This is the tale of the Forgotten Room. Picture now an aging mansion perched on the edge of a crumbling cliff. For decades, its halls have been silent, save for the whispers of wind and the occasional scuttle of rats. The house was sold at auction to Felix Grayson, a determined historian and collector of obscure artifacts. Felix wasn't the sort of man easily swayed by rumors or superstitions, but this house had a reputation steeped in tragedy. The previous owners had vanished without explanation, their belongings left to rot. Felix was drawn by a single mention in an 18th century diary he had found. The author, an unnamed governess, wrote of a forbidden room deep within the mansion, a room no servant dared to enter. Felix had spent months preparing for this expedition. He was armed with flashlights, cameras, and an antique crowbar. The air inside the mansion was damp and suffocating, the smell of mildew overpowering. Dust motes danced in the narrow beam of Felix's flashlight. It wasn't long before he stumbled upon an anomaly, a door concealed behind a crumbling tapestry. The door was different from the others in the house. Its aged wood seemed unnaturally black, engraved with symbols that Felix didn't recognize. One symbol, however, stood out, an ancient keyhole shaped like an elongated eye. It was then Felix remembered the peculiar iron key he had discovered in a chest purchased at the same auction. The key matched perfectly, as though it had been made for this door alone. Hesitation. For the first time, Felix felt a gnawing unease in the pit of his stomach. But curiosity is a cruel master. Slowly, he inserted the key into the lock. The door yawned open, revealing a void of utter blackness. Not just darkness, but an absence, like the light had been consumed entirely. Felix stepped inside, his heart pounding. He snapped on his flashlight. Its weak glow diffused like it was fighting against the dark. The room was circular, its walls adorned with what could only be described as horrifying art. Shimmering black paint depicted grotesque figures, human yet distorted. Some had multiple sets of eyes. Others appeared to be melting, their expressions frozen in eternal agony. But most chilling of all was the floor. A massive pentagram had been etched into the stone, its grooves filled with what closely resembled dried black blood. At the center lay a dusty, leather-bound book atop a plinth. Felix could feel it now, a presence, heavy and oppressive. Something unseen, yet undeniably watching. He knew he should leave, yet his legs carried him forward. The book's cover was unmarked, save for the impression of a handprint, charred into the leather, a hand much larger than any human's. Felix hesitated, but again, that notorious curiosity surged, drowning out his fear. The second he touched the book, the air shifted. A bone-chilling wind swept through the room, though there were no windows. The walls began to change. The eerie painted figures twisted and writhed, their groans of torment filling the room. Felix staggered back, clutching the book. Whispering began, soft at first, then louder, multiplying. It was the same word over and over in a language Felix did not know, but its sinister tone chilled him to the marrow. Then came motion. The lines of the pentagram on the floor started to glow a deep crimson, pulsating like a heartbeat. And out from the center emerged a hand, larger than life, gnarled and clawed. The flesh was an unsettling, iridescent black, veins of fiery orange crisscrossing its surface. Another limb followed, fingers first, then a grotesque face. Time froze. Felix was paralyzed, his gaze locked on the unholy thing climbing free. It was neither demon nor earthly beast, a hybrid of nightmare and violation. Its eyes were endless voids, swirling with pinpricks of light, like dying stars. It opened its mouth, revealing rows upon rows of needle-like teeth, and released a guttural growl that rattled Felix to his core. Felix turned and ran. He bolted out the door and slammed it shut, throwing his weight against it. The house trembled, a deafening roar echoing as whatever that thing was slammed against the other side. Gasping, Felix fumbled the key from the lock and backed away. For a moment, everything was still, but then the door began to knock. Felix fled. He abandoned his equipment, the photographs, and even his beloved book, the exception being the cursed tome from the room. Days turned into weeks, but Felix couldn't return to normalcy. Sleep was no refuge, for he dreamed of the clawed hand, the glowing pentagram, and the whispers. He tried to destroy the book, fire, water, even shredding the pages. Nothing worked. It was indestructible. One fateful evening, Felix felt an unexplainable compulsion to open the book once more. As his eyes scanned its cryptic symbols, one figure caught his attention, a depiction of a hand reaching out of a pentagram in what looked like the very room he had encountered. The text beneath, translated crudely to, "The reader brings the gate wide." That was when the scratching started. It came from behind his bedroom walls. At first, soft, sporadic, but over time, rhythmic, deliberate. The same whispering he had heard in the room followed him now, growing louder by the hour. And the door from that cursed chamber? One night, it appeared, standing impossibly free in the center of his living room. It yawned open, and from it came the same daggering, suffocating void. Felix was never seen again. The mansion went up for auction once more, the only remaining artifact a peculiar key found near its entryway. And so, dear listeners, beware the lure of forgotten rooms and the curiosities they ignite. Some doors were never meant to be opened. Until next time, keep your lights on.